As I watched the PlayStation 5 launch event last week, I was struck by something that I'm not sure many PlayStation fans would have noticed. There was a decided lack of launch titles in the lineup. We started the show with GTA 5, which, despite being 7 years old at this point, won't appear on the PlayStation 5 until 2021. I assume that the PlayStation 4 version will play on the PlayStation 5, but that hasn't been confirmed yet. Then we got Spider-Man Miles Morales, which is coming this year, but is to all intents and purposes an add-on for Spider-Man, and Spider-Man itself was originally released in September 2018. Jason Schreier did state on Twitter that this isn't an expansion, but, and I quote, a standalone game similar in scope to Uncharted Lost Legacy. But let's be honest, that's splitting hairs. It's a cut-down game, hopefully with a cut-down price, and I'd bet money it actually did start life as an expansion. I'll be glad to see it because, well, I love Spider-Man, but it isn't a fully fledged sequel to 2018 Spider-Man, as far as I can tell at least. And I wouldn't expect it to be, given the development time involved. I mean, what, 2 years, 3 years? Then we have Gran Turismo 7, which is supposed to be coming this year, with rumours suggesting that it'll arrive on November the 20th. But Sony haven't confirmed that, at least as far as I can tell, Sony haven't confirmed that. Now, to be honest, I'd be extremely surprised if it doesn't drop this year, as Sony would love to have a Gran Turismo game to show off the PlayStation 5's graphical capabilities. But racing games are racing games, and if Sony fanboys are going to dismiss Forza as unimportant, which they've done repeatedly, then I presume they're not bothered about Gran Turismo either. You know, because you can't have it both ways. Personally, I'm actually looking forward to it, and I suspect a lot of casual gamers will go out and buy a system with the Gran Turismo game because they recognise it and because it will look shiny and lovely and can be used as an excuse to justify the PlayStation 5's purchase. After these 3 games though, one of which is an old cross-platform title, one of which is basically an add-on, and one of which is a racing game which hardcore gamers like to dismiss, things got even more uncertain. We saw Ratchet & Clank, which I love the Ratchet & Clank games, and, you know, it did look very impressive, but it didn't have a release date at all. Then we had Project Athia, which will probably drop sometime in 2030. Stray, which is a timed exclusive and isn't coming until 2021. Returnal, an exclusive with no release date. Sackboy, a big adventure, also an exclusive but with no release date. Destruction All-Stars, yet another game without a release date. Kena, Bridge of Spirits, which is coming this year but it's a timed exclusive. Goodbye Volcano High, which like Stray is coming sometime in 2021. Oddworld Soulstorm, which is a multi-platform title that doesn't have a release date as yet but is penciled in for the end of this year or maybe the beginning of next. Ghostwire Tokyo, another multi-plat that isn't coming until sometime in 2021. Jet the Far Shore, which is coming around holiday this year on both the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5. Godfall, which is a PlayStation 5 exclusive or a console exclusive and is coming this year. But as I say, it's a console exclusive and is also coming on the PC. Then we've got Solar Ash, which again isn't arriving until 2021 and will also be available on the Epic Game Store. Hitman 3, which will arrive in January next year, 2021, on the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, Xbox One, PC and my toaster. Astro's Playroom, which is obviously a PlayStation 5 exclusive and is arriving this year, but which isn't exactly a heavy hitter now, is it? Then we have Little Devil Inside, which is another multi-plat without a specific release date, but which is supposed to be out this year. NBA 2K21, which is another multi-platform game which can also do one because, well, 2K are basically using video games to get people into gambling, but we won't go into that here. Then we have Bugsnax, a PS4, PS5 and Windows release. Demon's Souls, which is much anticipated and, you know, is a remake of the original Demon's Souls by Bluepoint. But again, that has no release date. Then we have Deathloop, a timed release for the PlayStation 5, which will also come to the PC, and then later on is coming to the Xbox. We have Pragmata, another multi-platform game and one that won't appear until at least 2022, Horizon Forbidden West, which is a console exclusive and is a sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn, but which also doesn't have a release date, just like Sackboy. A lot of these games were shown, but with no real dates, so we've no idea when they're going to arrive. But let's just say you're determined to go out and buy a PlayStation 5 at Christmas, and you're looking to buy games on that platform. What games will be available on the PlayStation 5 this Christmas that won't be available on other platforms or consoles? Well, you've got Spider-Man Miles Morales, which I've already mentioned, possibly Gran Turismo, Kena Bridge of Spirits, and Astro's Playroom. And that's it. Everything else won't be out at Christmas or will release on at least one other platform. And before anyone starts on about console exclusives, I'm actually deliberately discounting anything that will appear on PC, as that's always the charge that PlayStation fanboys level at the Xbox. It's not an exclusive, you can get it on the PC. Well, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. The truth is, though, that the PlayStation 5 is going to have a decided lack of exclusive games on release. And even if you do allow for games that appear on PC, it doesn't look much better, to be honest. Of course, you can look at the multi-platform games and then the picture is a little better, but most of the games will appear on current-gen consoles as well. So there's no real incentive to buy a new console based on those titles. And, this is always the case. It's every generation this kind of thing happens. Of course the likes of EA are going to want their games on current gen as well as next gen, because there's a lot more money to be made on current gen until next gen gets established. But, this is also true of Xbox. So what's my point? Well, I suppose the point is that buying a PlayStation 5 during the release window will almost certainly be a bit of a waste of money. Most of the games will be available on the PlayStation 4, so the only real reason for buying a PlayStation 5 on release will be to play a glorified content pack in the shape of Spider-Man Miles Morales. And given the development time, is that really going to show off the PlayStation 5? Is it really going to show us what it can do? What also leaves a nasty taste in my mouth over this is the fact that Miles Morales will not be coming to the PlayStation 4. And there's no reason for this, It appears to be a deliberate choice by Sony to try to force fans of the previous game over to the new console. And that's a cynical move, given that there's no reason why the game couldn't appear on the PlayStation 4. And I don't see any reason why it couldn't. As ever, sensible people are going to wait and buy both the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X later down the line. Because, as ever, there isn't going to be a whole lot of content at launch. I'd also hazard a guess and say that there isn't going to be a great deal of content for a while after launch either. We all know that COVID-19 is holding up the development of games, so even some of the games that are dated for next year may well slip into 2022. And let's be honest, that was likely to happen without COVID-19. Sony's always liked to announce games well in advance of when they'll actually arrive, so I wouldn't hold your breath for any of the exclusives like Horizon Forbidden West. And while we're talking about the Horizon games, something else that's going to be of interest to watch is whether we will see more Sony games coming to PC, like Horizon Zero Dawn. We've seen this with the Xbox, and a lot of Sony fanboys like to point and say, oh, Xbox hasn't got any exclusives because they're all on PC. But what happens when PlayStation games start going to PC? And I think we might see more of them, especially if it's lucrative. And if we do, it's going to be really interesting watching the fanboys squirm and try and justify it. Let's be honest though, exclusives aren't any real benefit to us, the gamers. They only actually benefit the platform holders. So the more games that come out as cross-platform titles, the better. That's the way I see it anyway. And, you know, you guys might have a completely different opinion. And if you do, let me know in the comments and let me know what you think about the release windows for the Xbox and for the PlayStation. Do you think we're going to see, you know, a number of decent games? Or do you think, like I do, that it's going to be severely limited? And, you know, while you're at it, commenting, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and all the other nonsense. It really does help the channel. Right, anyway, I'm off. I'm going to get myself a cup of tea, and I will speak to you guys in the next one. Bye.